Shoishanas Yaakov Tzahal V'Samecha Be'oisav Yachat Cheles Mordechai Teshua Sama Yisrael Netzach V'Sichvasam V'Chol Dovid V'Sichvasam Yisrael Netzach V'Sichvasam V'Chol Dovid. Hey, la 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 la. Hey, la 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 la. Welcome to the special Purim edition of the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. I am Rabbi Orlofsky, and this is my show. Baruch, Baruch Mordechai, Baruch, Baruch Mordechai, Baruch Mordechai HaYehudi. Aror, Haman, Haman, Aror, Haman, Haman, Aror, Aror, Haman. Now, this is, of course, the Mudget's Shoshanas Yaakov, which is just bursting with excitement and happiness. And so I want to talk a little bit about Purim, as you may have been able to divine from the fact that I started the show by singing Shoshanas Yaakov. It's a giveaway. Anyway. It's a famous story with W.C. Fields. He was one of the comedian movie stars in the early years, the 20s, the 30s. And he always had a bottle that he was drinking. And they'd say, "What are you drinking?" He was a known alcoholic. "What are you drinking?" He said, "I'm drinking orange juice." So one time somebody spilled out what was in the bottle and filled it up with orange juice, and he drinks it. And he goes, "Pah! Who switched my orange juice with orange juice?" So, orange juice. Anyway. Okay. So, I want to talk a little bit about Purim. So, it's very interesting. We know that Sukkot is the holiday of Simcha. Right? V'samachta b'chagecha v'ayisa achsameach. And by the end of Yantif, you never want to hear that song again. Which is only one step more annoying than Harachamonu Yakim Yakim Lanu Asukas Dovid Hano Folas Harachamonu Yakim Lanu Asukas Dovid Hano Folas. Right? Interestingly enough, Purim is not so much the holiday of Simcha as the holiday of Schoik, laughter. And what's the significance of laughter? There's a couple of things that I would like to illustrate about laughter. Why do you laugh? You laugh always at the unexpected. No one laughs at the expected. Two guys walked into a bar and ordered a drink. Not very funny. Two guys walked into a bar and said, "Ouch." You'd think one of them would have seen it. Not much funnier, but at least it's a joke, because you thought they walked into a pub and they actually walked into a bar. You see, that's how the joke works. It's unexpected. And it's the unexpected that makes us laugh. It's things that you couldn't possibly imagine. Now, the Megillah Sharm in Parakeh, when he talks about the things that will stop you from being a zahir is a person who stops and thinks before they do anything. They go, right? Consideration. Right? When you do things mindlessly, then of course you don't appreciate anything. Right? I can't speak for anybody else, but I have had this experience. When at some point I pick up my coffee cup, when it's empty, and I don't remember having drunk my coffee. So you should always stop. They say Rav Avigdor Miller would often be seen surrounded by a group of Bachrim, and in his hand were apple seeds. And he was describing what goes from an apple seed into an apple tree and an apple that you eat. Amazing. But do you stop before you eat the apple and take a moment to appreciate that fruit? It smells good. It tastes good. It looks good. It's got all these wonderful attributes to it. Why wouldn't a person take out a moment to appreciate what goes into it? But that's what happens. We tend to be mindless. So Zehiris is, I always thought the best translation is probably a new psychological term called mindfulness, where you're thinking about what you're doing. Yeah? So all of Zehiris is about thinking. And he lists certain things that will cause you to lose your attention. One of them is schayk. Now, he makes a separation between schayk and latzon. It doesn't mean making fun of something. It just means laughter. Yeah, there's a clean comedian. He's just telling jokes. And people are laughing, having a great time. Nonetheless, yeah, a person walks out of that. What happens when a person is laughing? I don't know if this ever happens in girls' dormitories, but I know in boys' dormitories, when you're up too late, people are sitting around and somebody starts telling something really funny and people start laughing. And sometimes you see somebody like falling off the bed laughing, like lying on his back, kicking his legs in the air. And people say, wow, what is he on? He looks drunk. He is drunk. Because although laughter is not the best medicine, it's a very effective narcotic. Because when you laugh, your body releases what are called endorphins, which is a natural narcotic. And so when you see people laughing and laughing, they're losing all control. Zehiris is all about control, stopping, thinking, acting with a cheshbon. And laughter is all about just letting go. I'm not talking about making fun, just to let go. And people just laugh. And so a person has to look at laughter and keep it like all controlled substances. And that's why it says in the famous Brisa in Pirkei Avos, mi yitzchak, means limit laughter. Not there shouldn't be any laughter. Laughter has a point. Laughter has a purpose. But too much of it, he says, will make you like a shikar or a shaita. So it's interesting that on Purim, laughter, which makes you like a shikar, there's a concept that we want to, on the one hand, people tend to drink, which dulls their senses, and people do funny things. Yeah. Some people's idea of funny is different than others. Yeah. There's a certain lost art form. Sometimes, like you'll see, go to a Purim Suda, someone will put on like a funny hat, and someone will say humorous comment, My son Yaakov, who I've had on in the Purim episode, sometimes when I tell certain jokes which he feels are not outrageous enough, he looks at me and he says, well, there's some gentle humor. In my house, we don't go for gentle humor. It's got to be side-splitting, tearing up laughter that's like so outrageous. Yeah, it's just so funny. That's schayk. And schayk always comes from the unexpected. Woody Allen says, I had to wear my cousin's clothes when I was growing up, and it was embarrassing because she wasn't my size. Okay, so the joke there is predicated on the fact that you thought the cousin was a boy, right? Okay, that's how it goes. And, this guy, his job was to ring the bell in the church. And he wasn't a very heavy person. So the first day there, he pulls the heavy rope, and the bell moves, and he loses his footing, and he's pulled and slams right into the bell. Almost face first. And he swings back, and he's trying to get his feet back on, and it doesn't help, and boom! Slams his face again. And he swings back for the third time, and he's almost unconscious. He's trying to get his footing, and third time, slams face first right into the bell. Bam! And he loses his grip, and he falls all the way down to the ground where he dies. And a crowd gathers. And someone says, does anyone know who this poor man is? And he says, no, but his face rings a bell. That's a little outrageous. Now, what makes a joke particularly effective is when it has a follow-up. So his brother comes and says, I want the job that my brother had. He goes, are you sure? Because you don't look much stronger than your brother. He goes, no, I want his job. And sure enough, he pulls the rope and he slams into the bell. And second time, slams into the bell. And the third time, he slams into the bell. He loses his footing. He falls down. And the crowd gathers. And they say, does anyone know who this poor man is? And they say, no, but he's a dead ringer for his brother. So, there's this joke. There's a Breslover and a Brisker sitting on a plane. Now, that's all you need to say. You can stop right there. The outrageousness of the situation speaks for itself. Yeah? So, I remember I told this joke and they said, a Brisker and Bells joke. I said, that's not the only one I have. It's a very specialized area of humor, yeah? And don't ask me, I know people writing questions. Will you tell me the other one? No. Anyway, so the guy is sitting on the plane and he goes, nah. And the Brisker goes, shh. And he goes, nah, nach. The Brisker goes, shh. He goes, nah, nachma. The Brisker goes, shh. He goes, nah, nachman. The Brisker goes, shh. He goes, nah, nachman meuman. And the Brisker goes, shma. Because Briskers take a very long time to say things instead. So they have to pronounce it very carefully. Yeah. That's the joke. It was unexpected, right? All humor is based on that concept, based on the concept of the unexpected. That's why people laugh. It's the hafuch. And that's why when you tell a joke and it has two punchlines, now I'm telling you a joke that I'm telling you up front that I do not approve of because it's a mother-in-law joke and I don't think these jokes should be told. My wife is a mother-in-law and I object to these types of humor. I do have a mother-in-law. She should live and be well. She might watch the podcast, which is why I'm giving this whole long speech beforehand. But no one should ever tell mother-in-law jokes, and I think it's a terrible thing. But I'm just doing this to illustrate for educational purposes the type of joke that I'm referring to. What my son refers to in Hebrew as hafuch. Yeah. So there's a casket, and walking behind the casket is a dog, and behind it is a very long procession. So the guy sees this. It's a very unusual sight. He goes to the first person in line, and he says, whose funeral is it? He says, my mother-in-law. Well, what happened? He says, the dog bit her, and she died. He says, oh. Hey, can I borrow the dog? He says, get in line. You think you know the joke, and then it turns around, right? Now, being a professional humorist, as it happens, I'm really honestly a rabbi, but I do present things in a humorous way, which I suppose would make me a humorist. Yeah. Either that or someone who studies a bone in the arm. Doesn't make a difference. It's all the same idea. So, as a professional humorist, I can tell you that there's a famous joke that everybody knows. There was a prison, and in the prison library there's only one joke book, and they inmates had read it so many times that they know it all by heart. So a guy would get up at the meal and he'd go 23 and everybody would laugh. Another guy would get up and say 45 and everybody would laugh. So this guy is new in prison. He just showed up. He says, what's going on? The guy explains to him. He says, well, can I tell a joke? He says, go ahead. He gets up and he goes, 18. Nobody laughs. He sits down. He says, what happened? He says, some people don't know how to tell a joke. Now, everyone knows this joke. Okay, this is an old joke. So, hafuch hafuch. So I tell a slightly different version because you want to surprise people. Yeah. I said there was a comedian convention, and of course everybody knows all the jokes by heart. So the first guy gets up and he goes, 23, and everybody laughs. And the next guy gets up and he goes, 45, everybody laughs. And this one guy gets up and he goes, 18, and this one guy is laughing and laughing. He doesn't stop laughing. So someone says, what's so funny? He goes, I never heard that one. And you see what that joke does? What that joke does is you think you know the punchline. Hafuch hafuch. That's the unexpected. What happened over there? At each stage, we thought we understood what was going on in the Purim story. And the fact of the matter is we never understood. We didn't know what was happening. First, we thought HaKadosh Baruch Hu abandoned us. He destroyed the base of Mikdash. We went into Gullus. We thought, that's it. No more Jewish people. As the Gemara says, they asked Yechezkel Hanavi, if a man divorces his wife, does the wife still have to listen to him? Hashem destroyed our home, exiled us, threw us away. There's nothing left. And then there's a big party. And everyone's invited. And they feel for political expediency. It's kedai to go to the party, be part of the government. And Mordechai says, don't go. This is wrong, Rabbi Isai. And they say, Mordechai, ha-Yehudi, v'yid, you're a nice guy, but you don't understand modern politics. This is not for you. We don't need a rabbi for this. You're there to tell us if the chicken is kosher. You should stay out of politics. Leave it to us. We understand these things. Geopolitical movements. Just trust us. He says, you're making a mistake. Okay. Now, no one saw the connection because it was 11 years later. Haman comes to power. And everybody's bowing down. He represents the king. Now, Haman was no Dovid. He was wearing a avodah zarah. He wanted the people to sin. Mordechai understood this. And so Mordechai wouldn't bow down to him. And Haman was getting furious. And all the Yidden said, Mordechai, what are you doing? He says, I don't bow down to avodah zarah because it's not really the avodah zarah. You're bowing down to him. He represents the king. Because I don't bow down to avodah zarah. He says, Mordechai, you and your crazy chumras are going to get us all killed. I don't bow down to avodah zarah. And sure enough, the decree comes out. Every Jew, man, woman, and child, are going to be killed. What are we going to do? That's the end of us. We have one ace in the hole. We know that Esther's a Jewess. It's a word you don't hear enough today, a Jewess. Yeah? And nobody knew. Because she looked like whatever you wanted. People would say, funny, you don't look Jewish. But she was, so they figure, okay, Esther will help us out. And then Esther invites Haman to a party. He goes, oh my gosh, she sold us out. What do we do now? Mordechai doesn't know what's going on. Esther doesn't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. What should we do? And Mordechai says, we can do tshuva. We can return to Hashem. We can do tshuva. Right? So everyone says, all right. Seems like the best option we have left. Everyone does tshuva. And next day they see Haman puts up a gallows 50 amos tall. Zeresh is described as Eshes Mafchidi, the wife of the terrorist. I asked Moshe Shapiro once in Purim, why is she called Eshes Mafchidi? Why is that term? says, because when they saw that gallows go up for Mordechai, they were terrified. This is the end of the story. There's no more hope. Mordechai is going to be hanged. The next day they see Mordechai hanging from the gallows and they say, wait a second. Yeah, that's not Mordechai, that's Haman. Oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming. That's pretty funny. It's what we call gallows humor. Oh my gosh, what happened? Where's Mordechai? Mordechai says, here I am. And he's wearing the royal robes. He's the new guy in charge. He got Haman's job. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Wow, I didn't see that coming. No, you didn't. And then each time you think you know, I know. Chayevinish libesume, libesume. Person has to drink. Ada lo yada, ada lo yada, ada lo yada, till you don't know. It's a kind of strange shir. So the Ramah says, drink a revius, to din d'Rabbanan, so that's 3.3 ounces, and then go to sleep for half an hour. And when you're sleeping, you won't know. And that works out well because Haman said, Yeshnan am echad, they're sleeping. The Ber Heitev says you have to drink enough so that you cannot work out that Baruch Mordechai and Or Haman is the same in Gematria. For most people, that's a sip because they can't work out the Gematria when they're sober. But the shir is Adalo Yoda. What does that mean? Till you don't know. Till you understand, but you don't know what's going on. Adalo Yoda. You know why? Because you never knew what was going on. You just didn't know that you don't know what's going on. So you have to make yourself helpless, like a joke, where you think you know what's happening, and then suddenly, boom, you don't get it. And then you think you do get it, and boom, hafuch hafuch, turns upside down. I thought I got it. I didn't even get it. It's a level on top of a level on top of a level. Because I never understood what was going on. So both laughter and alcohol has the ability to play with my sense of das, with my sense of knowledge. I know. You don't know. You don't understand what's going on. And the more you understand, I don't know. Look, what was the first chait? We ate from the Eitz Hadas because we thought we would know. But in fact, as Moshe Shapiro often would point out, it was actually called the Eitz HaTov and Eitz HaRa, because there's something called Das Tov and Das Ra. Das Ra is illusion, but it's so real to me. Haman minatar minayin, hamin ha'etz. That tree, the Eitz HaDas, that's Haman, because you thought you knew and you don't know. And so in Purim, we suddenly know that we don't know. I remember there was a special Yom Tefillah during the Intifada. Mendel Weinbach and Or Sameach put it together. I was there at the time. And he was talking about Ehud Barak, who was prime minister. And he kept saying, Anachnu neida mana lasot. Anachnu neida. We'll know what to do. He says, but what did we say in Tachnun today? V'anachnu lo neida. We don't know. Rav Revda needed an operation. So he calls the first doctor, who's a Yid. He says, don't worry, Rabbi, we know exactly what to do. We understand everything. You know, we'll do the operation, and we're sure it'll be successful. You have nothing to worry about. He says, thank you. Then he met with the second top doctor, and he told him the same thing. And the third doctor. And finally, the fifth doctor was a person who wasn't Jewish. He says, Rabbi, you're a man of God, so you'll appreciate this. We know so little. As much as we know, hopefully we can do this operation and it'll be successful. Between me and you, your prayers will probably help more than anything that we in the medical community can do. And he said, that's my doctor. Because he knows that he doesn't know. That's the secret of Purim. The secret of Purim is understanding what we don't know. That's why the jokes, that's why the drinking, everything is there just to remind us what we don't know. And when we know that we don't know, then we say, help me. That's what the Maharal says. A person who's drunk says, help me, because they sense that they're helpless. Steve Martin said, I'm a little bummed out because my girlfriend died, and I feel responsible. As we were having a few drinks, and she wanted to drive home, and I said, I'm not comfortable with you driving home. And she says, I'm fine, I'm not a problem. I said, please, give me your keys. I don't want you driving home. And she says, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. And I asked her for the last time, I said, please, give me your keys, don't drive home. And she said, no, I'm fine. So I shot her with a shotgun. Unexpected. I didn't see that one coming. That's Purim. Purim, at each point you think you know what's happening. And suddenly it turns around that it's not what we thought. So Mitzvah Hashem, our avoda this Purim is to understand how little we know. How much Hashem is in charge. I remember seeing a bumper sticker once that said, before you tell God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big God is. That's more important. Okay, and now we come to the question section. Pain in the eye writes, how come whenever I drink tea, I get a pain in my eye? Because you're supposed to take the spoon out of the cup. Mr. Shikar writes, what should a person drink on Purim? It's obvious. Shushan Habira. Morris the cat writes, the Gemara says that Vashti did not want to come before Achashverosh because she had grown a tail. That's right at the beginning of the Megillah. Why is that significant? To tell us that the end of Vashti is the beginning of the tail. Now that's a deep one. You should think about that. Fearful Fred writes, what is the punishment for forgetting Morid Hatal? You will get your just due. During Purim, we hear about the Amelekites. We hear about the Hittites and the Edomites and the Caananites. What is the significance of the Samsonites? They used to make the luggage in the ancient world. Most people don't know this, but hey, when someone asked them why, they said, man, it's just my bag. English Maven writes, what is the opposite of progress? Everybody wants to make progress. Well, pro means going forward. Opposite is con. So obviously the opposite of progress is Congress. And finally, Confused writes, which is faster to New York or by bus? And the answer is donut holes. So, and on that topic, I should just point out, I think I mentioned this in an earlier podcast. Whenever anybody says something that you don't understand, you can always get by with the point being, and it doesn't matter what you say, people will answer it, even if it's not something that's confusing. A person says, there's going to be a test on Tuesday. The point being that you should make sure and study. The point being, because then you'll know the material and you'll get a good mark in the grade. The point being, and so on and so forth. There is apparently no answer to that. So, of course, I said this once at the Shabbos table, so my kids picked it up. And whatever I would say, they tried it on me. And they would say, the point being, and I would go, exactly. And they didn't know what to say. I'm sharing that tidbit with you. So, Purim Sameach, Freilich and Purim, everybody should, in Mirza Hashem, have a beautiful, beautiful Purim. It should be a yontif for us and for Klal Yisrael. And in Mirza Hashem, this is a leap year. The Gemara discusses, in a leap year, do you put Purim in Adar Aleph or Adar Beis, which is also known as the Adar, which many people believe is Adar still. Should we put it in Adar Aleph? Because Rizim Makdim in Lemitzvos, all good things should be done right away. So, or do we put it in Adar Beis? The answer is Adar Beis, obviously. Why? Somach Geula LaGeula. Because if we do Purim the right way, then that will bring us to the Geula of Pesach, and in Mirza Hashem, the true Geula, and we will be Zaycha that eventually we'll be doing this podcast from the Beis HaMikdash because I am a Kohen. I will be working there. A little ironic because I get squeamish when I see blood. So someone said to me, who knows this? They said, what are you going to do? I said, I'll be in public relations. Okay, where's my group? Everyone with me? Okay. I'm Dovid the Kohen, and I'll be showing you around. Now, you've all gone to the mikveh, but just the same, please, touch nothing. All right? Just stay with me. Okay? Let's go together. All right. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Mirza Hashem, I'll see you all there. And we should have an emes geula and a true simcha. And I end with one more little Purim song for you, which I think qualifies as not only an annoying song, but probably not only an annoying Purim song, but probably the most annoying song that has ever been composed. V'gam, 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 charavona, 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 zachor latov, charavona, 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 zachor latov. V'gam, 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 v'gam. Oh, you get the idea. Well, that's it for our special Purim episode. If you want to find out more about this show, go to my website, RabbiOrlofsky.com. And you can sponsor an episode. You can leave a comment. You can have it your way. Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us make it your way. Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Have it your way. And that's it for this week. I am Dovid Orlofsky, and this has been the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode, and we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.